this article that came in from David Reagan. I just got it a couple of days ago, and I thought it was really interesting. It's called The New Tolerance. Remember a few weeks ago, Pastor J.D. had showed that bumper sticker about coexist, about different world religions. And it's amazing because when we talked about a coming world religion, a coming world economy, the new world order, a coming world economic system, a cashless society, cannot happen, but in rapid succession. And that's why I feel that time is so short. Every day I see everything that's fitting into the pieces of the puzzle. Like I mentioned about Turkey becoming allies with Syria, Israel's arch enemy. Now Turkey was a NATO ally, and they were pro-Israel. And all of a sudden the relationships between Israel and Turkey is being severed. And now Turkey is joining forces with Israel's arch enemies, just like what the Bible said would happen. Now, back in the 80s and 90s, people, when they looked at Ezekiel 38 and this coming invasion of Russia with their Arab, they said, cannot happen. Ethiopia is not aligned, Iran is not aligned, Turkey is not aligned. But today, all the pieces are in place for this massive invasion of Russia into Israel. When I was in Israel in 1982, we were up by the Sea of Galilee. And at that time, Israel was preparing for a massive invasion into Lebanon because there were Hezbollah terrorists in the southern area of Lebanon. So they were moving all of these tanks, and the Golan Heights and the whole Sea of Galilee area was buzzing with fighter planes. And we could see the fighter planes coming right over our tour boat. So I told my wife, I said, we should take a cab and go up to the border of Lebanon just to see all of this action. She said, once in a lifetime thing. I said, are you nuts, man? I said, this is cool, man. I mean, this is kind of exciting to see this happening. And she said, well, you can go. I'm going to stay here in an apartment. We were only a few miles from the border. And I thought, wow, this is a once in a lifetime chance that I can see this invasion being launched into Lebanon. But I guess wisdom got the best of me. So I stayed at the hotel. But they did launch the invasion, and they found these Russian documents and Russian plans for this coming invasion into Israel. And see, God had stopped this. It wasn't his time yet. This was in 1982. But I feel now is the time. This invasion could happen at any time. But before the invasion takes place, there must be a peace, because Israel is not dwelling in peace and safety. And the church, the body of Christ, must be taken up to meet the Lord in the air. And your bodies will be changed in a moment, in the twinkling of an eye. Yeah? And this is the blessed hope that we can look forward to. But coming back, I know I'm jumping all over the place, I'm going off into tangents, but coming back to this world religion, quote, the religious impact of the new tolerance has profound prophetic implications. I see it as paving the way for the one world religion of the Antichrist. In fact, steps have been taken to establish a one world religion based on the new tolerance. Did you hear that? A one world religion? Never before people used to talk about a one world religion. Over 200 delegates from religious groups all over the world gathered at Stanford University to begin drafting a charter for an international interfaith institution to be called the Organization of United Religions. The meeting was convened and presided over by Reverend William Swing, the Episcopal Bishop of San Francisco. Since 1993, he has been traveling worldwide to set up a network of religious leaders interested in a one world religious organization. A month later, many of the same people gathered in Melbourne, Australia for a conference on religion and cultural diversity. The Archbishop of Canterbury, the leader of the Church of England, was present, and the Pope sent one of his highest-ranking cardinals. At the opening banquet, the lights were dimmed, and people were told to focus on the candle on their table while the following prayer was offered. Quote, "Let us focus on the candle, the small quivering fire, the light in the darkness, the call to evening prayer, the call to thanksgiving for our togetherness, for our unity as sons and daughters of the earth in this vast ancient land." Amazing. Bringing all the religions of the world into one interfaith denomination. There's just so much material that I can't share all of it with you tonight, but it just comes back to this whole theme of all of the prophecies all coming together simultaneously, all at one time. Now, can all of you see this chart? I know some of you in the back might have a hard time. When Iraq invaded Kuwait, Desert Storm, books were written about this invasion called the Desert Storm, the Rise of Babylon, and the Persian Gulf Crisis. Now, Babylon is being rebuilt, and a lot of people often argued upon who is Babylon. Now, in Revelation 6, when the four horsemen ride, and the rider of the red horses rides, is Babylon the final destruction that will happen within this tribulation period? We don't know where this final destruction of Babylon will take, but in Desert Storm 1991, we see this coming destruction or final destruction of Babylon about to take place, because this Iraq war, I believe, is not over. Even when the U.S. pulls out, if and when it does, it pulls out, the city of Babylon, which is being rebuilt today, will be completely destroyed, as is the city of Damascus. Now, I'm going to close now, but if you have any questions, does anybody have any questions they'd like to ask? No questions? Do you have a question? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Well, yes, that's one of the get tough with Israel things that, they want Israel to stop all of these settlements because they feel that this is the problem with the whole Middle East situation, is these settlements in the West Bank. But I don't think Israel is about to give up the settlements in the West Bank, frankly. And that's why, they're going to have to just go it alone with this whole Iranian nuclear situation. Because can you imagine if they disbanded all those settlements like they did with Gaza? There were settlements in Gaza. And under the agreement with the United States, Israel gave all of the settlements in Gaza, and they got all of these Israeli settlers out of Gaza. And that didn't solve any problems in the Middle East crisis. As one has said, if the Palestinians and the Hamas, Hezbollah laid down their arms, there would be peace in the Middle East. If Israel did the same and laid down all of their weapons, there would be genocide. Because the Hezbollah and Hamas, these Palestinian organizations, their whole goal is to wipe off Israel off the map. They have no intentions of peace. And I don't see how Obama can bring peace to the Middle East until there's some kind of nuclear war or some kind of huge conflagration. And I'm not talking just with Hamas and Hezbollah, which happened a couple years ago. It's going to be something real huge. And I think it's going to happen within the next several months, personally. Yes, Wendell?